Today, first thing, I want to kind of pick back up where we left off yesterday. Our first session yesterday was about the East-West cultural divide. And so I have an activity that I would like us to do. If we could please divide back into the groups that we were in yesterday. Okay, let's take 1 or 2 minutes to get back with our groups. If you were not in a group yesterday, you can just join a group. Just pick a group. Yeah.
I was in a group, and everyone else that was in the group is not here today.
Okay, just join another group. All right. So if everyone could please sit with their group, that would be great. Each group has to have at least one foreigner and one local.
I knew you too. How big should the groups be?
4 or 5 would be ideal. Okay. 4 to 6.
All right. Okay, that's a full group. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's a full group. Okay, that's because like 4 or 5 is ideal, right? So 1, 2. 2, 3, 4. Okay.
Only 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah,
Okay.
you can join.
Full secure.
All right, we're going to get some cross-cultural interaction going on here. So this is your group right here? Yep. All right. This is your group. All right. Excuse me. Your group? One group? Yes? Your group? Just 2 people? Okay. And 3 people here? So, the 3 of you are in a group? Okay. Are you right here? Oh, and then this is another group over here. Okay, sounds good. All right. Okay, very good. I think everyone's in a group now. I want to do some case studies. All right, so we have 1 group, 2 groups, 3 groups, 4 groups, 5 groups. All right, here's what we're going to do. Let's have these 2 groups. I want these 2 groups to do this case study. Okay, I want these groups to do the next case study that I'm going to show. Okay. All right, so for this group, the situation is the foreign teacher prepares a detailed lesson that includes grammar points and drills to help students practice their English. He or she feels that the lesson is really good and helped improve their English a lot. After his lesson, though, his boss pulls him aside and says that he needs to be more活泼, which is just like energetic and active, like a clown. The boss says that the previous foreign teacher played games and sang, and the students loved it. So, in your groups, okay, if you're a foreign teacher, I want you to think about this question. How do you think the foreign teacher felt about the note from the boss? And why? And if you're local teachers, why do you think the boss had this expectation for the foreign teacher? Okay? And then you need to have one person ready to report. Okay? Everyone got that? Okay. So why did the local teacher feel like that? Or how did the local teacher likely react to the note that the boss gave him? And why would the boss give him that note? Okay, for you guys, case study. The owner of a school tells the foreign teacher there's an important activity on Saturday with parents, and she would like the foreign teacher to attend. The foreign teacher asks how much they'll be paid for this overtime work. The owner replies that this is an important school activity that everyone is helping out with, and there won't be any extra pay. The foreign teacher says he won't be able to attend. So, in your groups, if you're a foreign teacher, how do you think the foreign teacher felt about being asked to work on Saturday? without pay? And why? And if you're a local teacher, why do you think the boss had this expectation for the foreign teacher? So, all right, you got about 3 to 5 minutes. Talk amongst yourselves and be ready to share with everyone.
Come on. I believe for younger generations in Taiwan, it's all great. Come on. Let's take drinks.
It's a better virus for students.
Around 30.
Which is our, this is our case study? I missed it. I went to the bathroom. Wait, but the entertainment
Are there any local students?
for us as well? Okay. Traditional values, I have family, and then hey, I invite you. I would know we want to have some fun together, but if not fun at all. So that's actually really needed a solid lesson.
Okay. So you think the boss was okay? That's that. Okay. That's going to be more.
And maybe that previous, not really, because we are individual students and maybe local college students, you can say like and so making
But
students
what if the
happy.
boss says, oh, I'm first, something like that?
Whatever.
You can get up and play games.
Definitely the first priority, right?
Can you sympathize with the boss?
Already right. The project is only 80. It's not like
That's the way to yoga. Oh, yeah, it was good. Actually,
Yeah, I still understand.
it was good. It was
More
good.
homey, more close-knit community in the sense of
Yes, my Tuesday computer teacher.
sort of middle of nowhere. Especially in the school.
So, consensus here is that the boss is wrong.
that attitude will work if you hire
Joe.
no,
We start for Josephine, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the problem is that there's no local, actual local. We should change it to Josephine. Most of us are older than I'm just joking. I know it wasn't just a special.
I figured that.
So their very first time will figure out jobs.
Yeah, like
I'll play devil's advocate here.
Okay, so what do you think? You think that
Devil's advocate because I'll stand on the other side. Argue that the boss is the boss will probably say, oh, I pay your salary, right? This is a business that
I'm not following
making money.
it.
This is a business about making money. The reason I hire you is to draw students in. That's why I hire you.
Not everything like Taipei or they have more chance to be there with foreigners. They know that they should pay extra.
Well, I think they need to have fun. They want to, they need to want to come back.
Sometimes we don't even get that for some wash out.
That's why you say
Have you
both have free security. I can't compete
because we don't get paid today. So we can say whatever we want.
Another time, you know, we also be about how we can, you can't just.
I agree. I'm not an This is actually.
Oh, really? As a teacher, you should know
All right, sounds like you guys got done.
I would come and ask go to ask.
Hey kids! Are you ready for class? Listen, I'm like, yo, how to shoot me right now. Yeah.
For today.
Yes, because they can use some compensate today because from the afternoon they really have some work.
Why did they have to go to a meeting? Why did they have to go to a meeting? Our meeting is the short time. 他们要开会的时候
This is office hour and the working hour.
One very interesting. One of my friends
Everything.
worked at a tuition at high school, as a teacher, but he, after time, he also
Okay, I'll make sure that they understand that they, so they do get time off. I'll make sure that they understand. Okay, I'll make sure that they
I'm an English teacher. Sometimes
Are you guys pretty much to a consensus? Have you got viewpoints from both sides, or is it one sided?
one-sided.
No, we got some like five, like equal. Yeah.
Is it like, oh, the local's wrong, or
No, we actually just kind of express what we felt about it. Like that.
Sometimes, yeah, if I prepare for a class, it's no fun, but you know, day after day and everything.
Well, I mean, you're asking how the teacher feels getting like recommendation, and so like his feelings is kind of like his feelings. It's only one side, right? And so if I had to put myself in that position, I think I would do a little bit.
do we have any local representation for why the boss would ask that?
Stop. Isn't that a critical owner right here? Me sure.
So it's supposed to make English fun.
That's not true for the local.
It's not true for the local teachers. It's a double standard, yeah.
I explain games to students. Based on the
So maybe you can share that in just a minute.
I haven't seen those commercials. But yeah,
Yeah, like teachers say the sentences.
You guys got a consensus? You guys gonna kind of finish?
Oh, that's awesome.
Alright, you got both sides represented, local and foreign side.
Our mind is set.
Your mind is set. Okay, sounds good.
Heard of anything compared?
So local?
Yeah, that's
Go ahead, share.
that's what I know.
Yeah, try.
So you kind of got where you guys are.
For other reasons,
yeah, I noticed that maybe that I do step on people's shoes.
Like there's a good discussion going on.
Possibly, very possibly. Actually, definitely. At least a few times a year, I probably offend a few of the locals. You know, just I don't need it. I just feel but there's so much there's something like they try to say like with my like feelings that I never hear about it. But I'm sure I do. I'm sure I do. Like for instance, my first year here, all my school students, then we get 3 meals every time. And everyone else is kind of they didn't listen. They didn't like. I would have been happy today. It's like what 30 years. I would have But this year, the last previous year, that's one example of how they so
local teachers, why a ball?
yeah, they're so eager to like
Subject ideas.
yeah.
Come on, let's brainstorm.
They always make food for vegetarians. So it's actually a very good way to get vegetarian food. What? Next Friday. 4 vegetarians.
Yeah, they did like a little something like that. Oh, really? Yeah, that.
Local teachers, they're going to speak on behalf of the second class.
Are they angry?
Yeah, okay, sure.
We're the happy bunch. No one else can morning. What does that make that?
Yes, I can. Okay,
Oh, dysfunctional lunch.
Well, yeah, that it was no just one of the discussions that we're having.
会点这不好压死，不压好。
He was. I found him here today. But he comes to
我在教学场上，我常做最多事情，参加最多比赛，然后做最多上台表演，举手最常被打，但是其实根本都不会。为什么有些小孩子说不接受？因为为什么比较聪明，我要教你这样？聪明又不是我的错。
Yeah, you got it.
那班级人数又少之后，又需要人家上台表演，说都叫求爷求奶，拜托您上去了，拜托。老师的希望都在您身上。一颗糖果，2颗，3颗，健达出鸡蛋，好，去。就实在的，当老师就是有的东西把它提出来，我们互相遇到这个困难，说我们要怎么解决啊？哦，我的班上都特别好，他跟你，我们班上都特别好，我都不敢抬头低下去，孩子下面都已经打成一团，头还是一样我算。
I had some better ideas. At that time, I was like,
哦，对啊，那份报告我到现在都还没写完。对，完全没有给他写，我就摸看一下，那我就摸摸。其实我一开始有在拍到那些没有，一开始的时候，我必须讲，真的是有时间就来看很恐怖的真的3个。那个时候我根本
yeah, I know. I used to bring that.
因为那时候我就在带RT，我就在教投弹，我就照片拍读者剧场比赛。那时候我就说，天哪，我就自己我要负责读者剧场，因为他们没给他写，但是我已经忙死了，那神经血擦一擦，擦个头啊，全班都擦那么多。然后都拍说，等他如果真的要跟我要，我就那几天再赶出来。他们跟我要啊，对。反正就是很我们这边女老师来个前预装是很对对，有人家预装是很正常。如果体力可以负荷，就会做自己做，觉得说以后可以当老师当。那当然，太超过了，我都不妨展现你们人性。其实做不出来，不然怎样？对啊，不然怎么样？对啊，对，而且那个教学档案你全部写英文，全校没有人看得懂，不是说你自己看得懂，何苦呢？我上面全部是骂人的话，你就看得懂。看了以后，他看到很满，他说：“哦，天哪，真的太棒！”我跟你讲，会去 Google 人家落泪。哦，我跟你讲，如果有主管还去 Google 查到，我都落泪。重点是全校人。那也可以，可是我觉得为了我主要是说为了第一线孩子教学，备查， 有些老师觉得超强，给他这样变应该百科全书一样。我说你那教学上可能就是各套规定。太嗨了！
He said that's all.
我想到专门担任我这个现在我们最好打起来，我就买爆米花这么现看。
You like that? Yeah. You don't like being in one place? You don't like how these schools like it?
Yeah, we will talk. We'll talk to the well, we can try because that's the easy. Actually, the time should be flexible. Yeah, like our be flexible. Yeah, like our teachers, everybody like half hour earlier. Yeah, no, I mean, we start as you mentioned. And first and second. Yes, we do that for students.
8 is my biggest class.
I tried to move there. When I tried to. That's the only place I like.
An entire school very strict.
I like it.
现在外国系现在的
I'm working on it. I need a pot.
这个就要我们进入辩论团队，到底同工同酬，你做这个
Okay, everyone. I had no idea that this discussion question would set off such strong feelings. No idea at all. All right. Oh, this should be interesting. All right. Well, all right. So there are obviously some issues that are occurring between the locals and the foreign teachers that I was not aware of. But you know, this is one of the reasons why we're here, to communicate. So I think this could potentially be a good thing, as long as we all remain civil and polite. So we'll start with this group, okay? And just whenever you come up, just share your feelings. Be honest. Share. Don't sugarcoat it. But at the same time, be civil, be polite. Don't make accusations. And so we'll start with this group, okay? This is the boss. Okay, would like the foreign teacher to be more active, be more like, I hate to use the word clown, but some teachers think clown. All right, so who is going to represent the foreign teacher side in this? Okay, John, you want this?
Sure. Don't sugarcoat it.
Don't sugarcoat it, but be polite. Please.
The boss is an a-hole?
I
said A!
Come on.
I'm sorry, I was just joking. I was just joking.
Man, that's a joke.
A.
No.
Yes, we are entertainers. Yes, we're trying to make it fun. But our license does not say clown. If I wanted a license to be a clown, I'd go to clown college. We have clown colleges in America. I could be a clown. I could be a licensed entertainer, but I'm not. I'm a teacher. We are trying to make students successful. We can't just make it fun.
sometimes we can make it fun. Sometimes we have to try and help them be successful. I understand if the other teacher that was there before me did nothing but make it fun and entertaining, I'm sorry, I can't subscribe to that. If the boss wants to fire me for not making it entertaining all the time, oh well, it's my job as an educator to try to make students as successful as possible. Okay, and not just be an entertainer.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very good. Thank you. All right, let's get some local representation. Who's going to represent the local viewpoint? You will? You have to. Yes. You believe it's John. But who can represent the local viewpoint? Who wants to? Okay. I'll represent the local viewpoint. Okay, but this school, it's about education, but it's also a money-making enterprise, right? I pay your salary, I take in students, and I make money, and then we're all happy. It's an economic thing. And so, if you're not happy, if you're not entertaining, then students won't like coming to your class. So then, they won't come to my school, and I won't be able to make money, and then I won't be able to pay your salary. So I want the school to be successful. I want you to be successful, so I need you to try a little bit harder to just be entertaining. Okay? Now, hold on one second. We're not here to fight.
I have a question.
Okay, hold on one second. Let me just finish this point. We're not here to fight. We're not here to come to a resolution of who's right and who's wrong. The entire purpose of this is just to get both sides out. Okay? Yeah, go ahead.
My understanding is all of the foreign teachers here are elementary school teachers at public schools. None of us teach at Bushibans.
This is completely true. This is true. Everyone here is a elementary school teacher.
Yes, at public schools.
Okay.
Can you give the perspective of the boss from a public school it's not like a business? Because that was entirely based on profit.
Okay, all right. From the perspective of a public school, possibly. Listen, we've had some parents call us, and they say that their students don't really like going to your class because all they do is just sit and repeat vocabulary words and do grammar. Last year we had this foreign teacher from Canada, and all the students really loved him. All the parents, loved him. They were all the time taking him out to eat and buying him stuff, and they loved him. They asked about him all the time. But you just seem a little too quiet. So maybe you could try a little bit harder to be more active. Okay. All right. Let's have this group. Who's going to represent the foreign side?
Well, we just thought the foreign teacher would be irritated about being dismissed as a teacher and more considered as a clown. So it's basically, what was the point of hiring a teacher? Why not just go out and hire a clown or an entertainer? I do have a license. You should expect me to actually teach English in an English classroom. It wouldn't just be games. You can, maybe as a foreign teacher, you could say, okay, I'll include some games when I can, try and make the class more interesting, but it can't be 40 minutes of just games. Try and reason with the person and just explain your viewpoint, why that wouldn't work.
Very good. Do we have anybody over here that wants to represent the local side?
I guess for the question, it's an expectation that a lot of Chinese think what American or the foreign teacher should do. You can see on the TV commercial, you see the foreign teacher are playing and having fun with the students. So it's an expectation. It's a different, or it's a what do you say, a double standard for local teachers. Also, I play games with my students, and then I got complaints from the parents. They say, well, the teacher, he should be teaching, not playing game with them, But actually, I got called in the principal's office once or twice, maybe. Yep.
All right, thank you, thank you. All right, very good. All right, and then to the much more contentious issue of working without pay. All right, who wants to represent the foreign side over here?
Yeah, I think that since it's my time off, and I really don't care for compensation or anything, but it's my time to be off, so I can work hard Monday through Friday. And if you're like going into me time, then it's kind of bothersome. It's just not. I wouldn't be happy about it. So. Okay.
Okay. Well, let's just go ahead and get all the foreign side out of the way. Be nice.
This is a question for private schools, and I've taught in private schools in Taiwan. I've had this situation, and it depends. If they tell you up front while you're negotiating the contract that there are like a Christmas thing you need to participate in or a Sunday open house, that's fine, because at that point I can ask for more money per hour. If you want me to do this, like I had one job who wanted me to wear a tie, okay, well that'll cost you more 30 Taiwan dollars per hour for me to put a tie on. No problem. But in this situation, no. If this is a for-profit enterprise, they're having this Saturday school for a profit reason. So they're going to get their money back. Anything they want me to do should be compensated. As for our situation as public school teachers, we should never be asked to work on Saturdays, because as far as I know, Taiwanese public school teachers don't work on Saturdays. If there's a Taiwanese teacher training, it's done during the week. So this is just nonsense.
All right, any other foreign perspectives?
Yeah, I can weigh in just for a second. I've always thought as far as the I'll wait till the mic comes. As far as working or asking to work additional hours like without pay, it's like I always think of it as this job. It's a part of me, but it's not who I am. And so the reason why I work is to sustain my lifestyle, not to work in like continuous hours or 7 days a week. Like I like interacting with the students. I like what I do, but I don't want to do it all the time. And so to expect someone to do that without compensating them, like it just doesn't make sense, because this is my time, it's my life. I don't get it back, so I should get something in exchange for it. I value my time, so I think it's only fair that and vice versa. I don't think that you could ask for more money without providing more value, and I don't think if they will be willing to do that for me, give me more money for doing the same job that I'm doing. If the roles are reversed, I don't think that I could ask for more money without contributing more. And so I don't think it's fair to ask for more time from me without wanting to compensate me and having like an equal exchange, basically.
Okay, thank you. You want to say something?
Yeah, I have a few things to say first. Okay. For any of those foreign teachers that were in America, did you have to work Spring Fling? Your Spring Carnival? Your school usually had a carnival in the spring. If you worked elementary school, they had something like on a Saturday. We called it Spring Fling. Did you have to work it?
Oh, dances.
Extracurricular.
Huh?
Yeah, you always have to work some extracurricular.
Okay. No compensation. No compensation.
No.
There you go. So why is it different?
It's not.
Okay. So you shouldn't feel you have to be compensated while you're here.
I wasn't required. It's always like
That's
basketball coaches and other activities
That's
that
true.
they pay. Those commitments, like what you're getting into, and so like to be an
That's
athletic coach, I played all kinds of sports, and all my coaches, regardless of the amount or how much they were paid, they were paid something, because you can't it just doesn't work that way in the world.
And I also want to ask,
You always have to sign up for some sort of extracurricular activity if you're a teacher.
Really?
Yeah, you do. You have to sign up for something.
Yeah,
Yeah, you do.
yeah.
But it's
Yeah,
not
I
like
do
the whole
extra
day.
stuff here. I teach an extra remedial class that I'm not paid for.
Well, that you should be paid for.
I'm not.
That's the problem. That you should be arguing about.
I have.
Well, keep up.
And
Try to quit.
on the other side, Taiwanese teachers, are y'all asked to work special, like, on a Saturday or not, without compensation?
Taiwanese teachers.
Taiwanese teachers.
Where are half of them?
Yeah, where did they go? I don't know.
Well, the faithful few that are still here, you're not asked to work. Okay. Okay. That's good.
Actually, like our Taiwanese teachers said that they are asked to work on the weekends and they're not compensated for it. It's just, I guess it's a cultural thing for them. Like they feel like, again, like you said, the principal is the father and making it like a family unit, and they feel like they're contributing to the household. But then, from our cultural background, work is work, you know, and anything extra, I should be compensated for that. And if you're not, you know, it's not an equal exchange, you know? So, and there's the cultural difference again.
Exactly.
Just because Taiwanese teachers have to do something and doesn't mean we should have to do it. We get a report card once a month that they don't get also. So it's not an apples and oranges comparison between what they do and what we do.
Also, I would just ask, what is the purpose of the contract if the contract isn't followed?
All right. Okay, so obviously there are some issues going on here. I would recommend that after this seminar that you continue to communicate with your bosses about these specific issues that you have. The purpose of this seminar was just to kind of get out both viewpoints. I think there's some better understanding of the foreign viewpoint. I just wish that there were more locals around here to be able to hear it. From a local viewpoint, as some people already brought up, you know, it's expected of the locals, a lot of locals, to come to school on Saturday to put in the extra time. It just is. It really is. It's a fact. And a lot of locals, they have no idea that in the West, it's not like that. They have no idea how we view work and life balance. And, you know, we have no idea how they view work and life balance. And so it often leads to conflict, to communication misunderstanding, because we assume that they are just trying to take advantage of us, that they don't respect us, they don't value us, and that they are just trying to exploit us, right? That's the way we feel, and then we get angry about it, and that's the way I used to feel as well too. I felt like that for a long time, but then I gradually came to an understanding that at the very least, it's not on purpose. They're not trying to exploit you. They're just acting the way they act with everybody else in the society, and they are genuinely confused whenever you get angry. So, I guess the point is, there just needs to be more communication. More communication. And I have also found that a lot, not all, but many schools, administrators, bosses, are not very adept at communication with foreigners. I have found, like I said, this is not an accusation against all Taiwanese bosses, and this is, you know, I'm not attacking anybody here, but it's a fact that there's a lot of avoidance. Right? If the local administrators get a sense that you're unhappy about something, a lot of times they won't talk to you about it. They will just avoid you. And then nothing gets done to fix the problem. And then you just get more and more angry, and then they don't understand why you're getting so angry, and then eventually it just blows up. And then you get this horror story. So what I would recommend, the only thing that I've learned to help with this type of situation is you have to be proactive in communication. You have to go and find your bosses and your administrators and talk to them about it. And I cannot stress this enough. You have to be polite and nice. You have to be polite and nice. Once you start yelling, making accusations, they just label you as a hard to get along with foreigner, and I'm going to avoid you even more. But if you can be polite, if you can be nice, if you can smile while you're telling them these problems that you have, it will go a long way. Tell them that you like their school, that you like the students, but you just have this one little thing that you would like to talk to them about and communicate with them about. And it will go a long way to helping smooth the communication issues. All right, I think this part was probably the best part of the seminar. Okay, we are going to go past this, and we're going to get on to, what time does this thing end? 10:10? Okay, so we got about 15, 20 minutes. We'll just see what we get through. All right, so dealing with problems in the Taiwanese classroom. All right, some questions for you to think about. How large is an ideal ESL classroom? How many students should be in it? Have you ever taught a class where students essentially ignored you, would not respond to any of your questions, were very, very passive? Have you ever felt like your classes were really boring and that the students weren't having a good time? And then finally, have you ever taught classes where the students just would not do their assignments? They were just lazy. They would never do what you asked them to do. All right, so how large is an ideal ESL classroom? And I just want to get some responses from people.
A dozen.
What's that?
A dozen.
A dozen, 12 people, okay? What else?
It depends on your teaching style. For my style, I usually like about 10 students.
10 students, okay, good. What else? Yeah. 5 students, okay, good. Well, okay, so we have 12, 10, 5. In my opinion, an ideal ESL class is no more than 10 students. That's ideal. What would be even better is if you had 4 students. And if you had 4 students or even 3 students, you could give them a lot of individual attention. They could get a lot of one-on-one practice. Whenever you deal with classes that are more than 10 students, more than 20, 30 students, God forbid 40 or 50 students, it's not a good situation for an ESL classroom. But unfortunately, in Taiwan, you rarely teach classes that have 4 or 5 students. I remember there was one person who was saying that they taught a class with 1 student. 1 student. That would be great, in a way. I have yet to teach such a class. Yeah. But, on the plus side, many of you teach in rural schools, so I think some of your classes are a little bit smaller. So this is a good thing.
Yeah, I have a 3-student class at my Thursday school, and you're right, I can give individual attention to each of the students, work on their particular idiosyncrasies, their little problems.
I'm curious what the mix-up is in here. If you teach classes mainly 15 students or less, raise your hand. If most of your classes are 15 students or less.
15 students or less. No?
I think 50-50.
Really? 50-50? Okay. If you teach classes that are mainly 15 students or more, 16 students or more, raise your hand. And then if you teach classes that are maybe 30 students or more, raise your hand. Okay, so we have a pretty good mix there. Okay? I envy you teachers who teach small classes. Large classes, for those who teach them, create a number of problems. First of all, obviously, students don't get an opportunity to have one-on-one interaction. Secondly, students can kind of disappear, can kind of hide. And then third, from a classroom management perspective, it can be very difficult to handle a large class. If you have a lot of students who are talking, a lot of students who are sleeping, eating during class, and it's a large class, then it can be really, really hard to rein them all in. So large classes are bad. I think we've established that. But unfortunately, that's kind of the norm in Taiwan, at least for most people. I have found in such situations, if you have a large class, what can you do? Well, for me, large classes by default end up being mainly about English listening and not so much about English speaking. Because if you have a 50-minute class and you give every student, a minute to speak, well, 30 minutes have gone by and you've only got 20 minutes left where you can actually teach. So it's not very practical to give every student an opportunity to speak, unless you have ideas on how you solve this problem. I'd be curious to hear any ideas. Or is it mainly, for those who teach large classes, is it mainly about listening, English listening? Yeah, English listening. Okay, so in such a situation, what do you do? Because do you want to stand up there and talk for 50 minutes? That's really, really tough. I can't do that. So, how do you handle large classes? Okay, I just want to ask those people who teach large classes, what do you do? What do you do? How do you handle large classes?
I speak very loud.
You speak very loudly, okay?
Because it startles them, and not a scare tactic, but I just talk really loud and very slowly, so that way I get their attention. I walk around. I wish I could do some more activities, but with a class that big, it can be challenging. We do some games and that kind of thing, but when we're doing the lesson, I talk loud and I walk around.
What do you do to fill up the time? Is it you talking mostly?
Mostly. Sometimes the Taiwanese teacher will do translation. The lessons go very slow because their level is very low. And I have no problems with, for the most part, extending the lesson. Because I just have to review it and review it and review it.
Do you make them repeat after you?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so.
And I even try to get them into pairs. Small groups don't work so well with pairs so that they can practice. And sometimes I have to, within seconds, switch, transition, that kind of thing. But for the most part, it works.
And do you find, one of the things that I've found is, with large classes, I've tried breaking them up into pairs or groups, but if I'm standing over here with this pair and making sure that they're speaking English, everyone else in the classroom is speaking Chinese.
Yeah.
Do you have that problem as well?
The Taiwanese teacher will assist and she'll walk through. I tease them that I'll hit their head or something like that, just to get their attention. It happens, but I guess I can't expect perfection.
Okay. All right. So very slow, walking through the classroom. Any other ideas for large classes?
PowerPoint.
PowerPoint. Do you use PowerPoint?
Yeah.
Yeah, so do I. Okay. Any other ideas? You teach large classes, right? What do you do?
I like to go around the class, and students will see that aren't participating, I'll ask them questions.
Okay.
I know you can't spend too much time going around the class, but I like to do that from time to time.
So do you pace the classroom as well?
I walk around the class and I like to pick out students. What I like to do is if they can't answer the question, this is a weak student. What I really like is when a good student will answer or whisper to the other student. That way, I notice it's better, it reinforces the because they like to hear it from another student. Because when they hear it from another student, they're going to say it to me. So actually, it involves two students instead of one. It's more teaching.
Okay, very good, very good. All right, next, I want to talk a little bit about how do you handle passive classes. Now, would you say, on average, most of your classes are ready to learn, very active in answering your questions, or are they mainly passive?
What was the question? One more time.
Are most of your students the passive type, or are most of your students the active type, ready to answer your questions?
A lot of times they're passive until you get them riled up or get them going, and then they just open up. You know what I mean? But you got to probe them for a while, and then make it light and fun. But I think the same way with large groups. Like when you ask a question, nobody says anything. It's like somebody says something, and then everybody chimes in afterward. It's the same thing with the students. They're afraid to open up and be the first one to kind of engage. But as you get people to start contributing, then it's better.
That's good. That is not really my experience, but I'm glad you have that experience. My experience is you have a class. There might be 2 or 3 students who really want to learn English. They'll answer your questions a couple times. They look around. No one else is answering questions. They put their hand down and they don't say anything else the rest of the class. Has anyone else had that experience?
Yep.
Yeah, it happens a lot. So, what do we do in passive classes? I just want to share with you some... Actually, I asked you this question. Let's see what you said. One of you said, by encouragement. Encouragement makes confidence. Another person said, it all depends. If I really sense that the lesson is not going to fly, then I tell them we'll study for a few minutes and then we'll play a game. Playing games and watching movies to promote students' interests. Okay, so audio-visual activities, movies, games. Okay. I have 2 things that I do with passive classes that I want to share with you. Okay, 2 practical suggestions that maybe you can try with your passive classes, and I hope that they'll help you out. Alright, so the first thing I like to do is storytelling. Okay, storytelling. Who doesn't like a good story? If your story is interesting, if your story is simple, if you tell the story in an interesting way, even passive classes, they become interested and they'll get involved. The downside of storytelling is it takes a lot of work, I found. It really does. A lot of preparation, because it is remarkably difficult to find a story that is A, interesting, and B, simple, and C, appropriate for the classroom. Very, very difficult. So, one story that I've told with success is Bluebeard. I'm not sure if you've ever heard this story, Bluebeard. You can look it up on the internet. It's really simple. It's got a little bit of violence. Well, yeah, it's got some violence in it. Students like that. I have the surprise ending. And then this other one is The Monkey's Paw, or The Monkey's Hand. Yeah, students really like this one too. It's also pretty simple. And then what I do is I'll go onto the internet and I will search for pictures that I can use to illustrate my story. And then I'll download them on my computer. Before I use PowerPoint, I would actually print them out, laminate them, and then have them that I could have the pictures so I could hold them as I told the story. Now I have a projector in my classroom, so I just use the projector. Before I tell the story, I will teach them key vocabulary, because they won't understand everything that's in the story, so I will definitely preview key vocabulary. So this is what I use. I have the Chinese words written right there, and then I will tell them the English, and they have to write in the English. And so, last 5 minutes, I will tell you the story of the monkey's paw. If I can remember it. Okay. I set this story in Taiwan. Make a couple changes. This story takes place in Taiwan. And it involves 3 people. The Chun family. Mr. Chun, Mrs. Chun, and their son, John Chun. One night, John Chun is at the night market. He's at the night market. And why is he at the night market? Because he's looking for a present. He wants to buy a gift for his dad, because today is his dad's birthday. And he's walking around, he's looking at different stalls, and he sees this man selling these strange items from all over the world. One of the items is a monkey's hand. A monkey's hand. I think I have a picture. A monkey's hand. And he thinks, wow, that monkey's hand looks very interesting. So he asks the man, how much does that cost? And the man says, oh, no, this isn't for sale. This isn't for sale. This monkey's hand is special. It's magic, but it's evil too. Anyone who owns this monkey's hand can ask for 3 wishes, but in the end, they will regret that they asked for these wishes. Well, John Chun doesn't really believe in magic, but he thinks his dad might like this because his dad collects strange things. So, when the vendor isn't looking, John secretly picks up the monkey's hand and puts it in his pocket. And then he walks away quickly. Yeah, he's a thief. He stole the monkey's hand. Well, that night, he goes home, he wraps it up, and he gives it to his father as a gift. His father opens it up and says, wow, what's this? And John says, oh, it's a monkey's hand. The person who sold it to me said that it was magic, that you could have 3 wishes. His father says, oh, I don't believe in magic. And John says, well, if you could wish for anything, what would you wish for? Well, Mr. Chun thinks for a minute and says, well, I really want a new iPhone.
Right.
The new iPhone 6.
You can wish for anything in the world.
Yeah, because students like iPhones, so you got to relate it to them. But I don't have enough money. So I guess I would wish for $20,000 so I could buy a new iPhone. Well, they all go to bed, and the next day, John goes to work. John works at a drink shop. Okay? He works at Ching Shing Drink Shop. And that afternoon, he's supposed to come home, but he never shows up. Well, Mr. and Mrs. Chun start to get worried. That night, they get a phone call. It's John's boss. John's boss says, Mr. Chun, I'm so sorry to deliver bad news, but tonight, John was in an accident. He was delivering drinks and he was hit by another car. I'm sorry, he was killed instantly. Mr. Chun is so sad. He can't believe it. His only son has died. Then John's boss says, we know this is really hard on you, so all his co-workers decided to get together some money to give to your family. We have $20,000 here that we'd like to give to you. We know it's not much, but it's all we have. Mr. Chun hangs up the phone. $20,000. That's exactly the amount of money he needed to buy the new iPhone. Did the monkey's hand cause John to die? That afternoon, Mr. and Mrs. Chun go to the morgue to identify John's body. John's all smashed up. His face is smashed in. There's blood all over his clothes. He looks terrible. Mrs. Chun is crying, my son, my only son. That night, Mr. and Mrs. Chun go home. Mr. Chun waits until Mrs. Chun falls asleep. Then he opens his drawer and he pulls out the monkey's hand. He looks at it and he says, I wish John were alive again. Then he falls asleep. That night about midnight, Mr. Chun is woken up by the sound of knocking. on his door. It gets louder. Mr. Chun jumps out of bed and looks at his security camera. He sees the man knocking on the door. He's got blood all over his clothes. His face is smashed in. Mrs. Chun jumps out of bed too. She knows who it is. She knows it's her son, John. She starts screaming, "John! John, you're alive! You're alive! I'll let you in!" She rushes downstairs. Mr. Chun knows that this is not his son. This is a monster. Just as Mrs. Chun gets downstairs, Mr. Chun opens his drawer and pulls out the monkey's hand. Mrs. Chun is opening the door to let John in as Mr. Chun says, "I wish John were dead again." Mrs. Chun opens the door and no one is there. There's no John. There's no monster. There's no sound. Only the sound of Mrs. Chun crying. The end. Alright, I put these pictures online for you if you want to use this story in your classroom. Alright, it's time for a break. Thank you.
Thank you.
Stay for a minute, please. Again, we're going to do the lunch survey again. Okay? So.
Chicken again?
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I think it's some kind of fried rice or something. Yeah, that's my director. Okay, so everybody sign out. Oh, no, sorry, not sign out. Everybody sign the sheet, right? Right? Because I'm going to use the sign sheet to see the numbers, right? Okay, so then again, if you are vegetarian, please raise your hand. 1, 2, 3, 4. Only 4?
There's one more.
Oh, okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Put down. Oh, thank you. Okay, so 5 vegetarian and okay. Okay, that's all. Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
What was that, right?
Fried rice?
Okay, I guess we should get started. Last session before lunch. All right. I just talked to a teacher, and she told me that a lot of you think that stories are too difficult for your classes because your classes can't even handle the alphabet. Okay? That may be the case with some people, for sure. So I feel kind of bad. My experiences are teaching large classes, junior high, senior high school students, and these techniques work very well for those types of students. And the next session hopefully will help you. We'll see. It's about preparing the right kinds of lessons. So I just want to give you a couple things to think about as we start. Number one, what is the number one error, the number one mistake that foreign teachers make as they're preparing a lesson, as they're getting ready for a lesson? Number two, how much freedom as foreign teachers do you have to prepare your lessons? Do you have a certain book that you're supposed to use? Do you have a certain curriculum? Or does the school just say, teach whatever you want? Does your teaching conform to a long-range goal or a long-range curriculum? And do you use videos in class, multimedia in class? How effective do you think this is? Okay, we're going to skip this. Why do some lessons fail? I think the number one, well actually, I just kind of want your feedback first. Have you ever taught a lesson and it just did not go over very well? and then you thought about it afterwards and asked yourself, why didn't it do well? What conclusions did you come to? What do you think? Why do some lessons fail? Honestly.
Poor planning.
Poor planning on the teacher's part?
Yeah.
That's a good thing.
Just going into the classroom and thinking, I can speak English, so whatever. 50 minutes, I got this covered. All right, what else?
Preparing stuff that's either too difficult or too easy.
Very good, very good. Yes, good. What else? No time. No time in the classroom or no time to prepare? Like the teacher's too busy. Okay, teacher's too busy to prepare. No time to prepare. Okay. Anything else?
I don't know if this is exactly where you're going with, but like classroom management, sometimes the students are just, you never really have enough time to get into the lesson because you're dealing with management and
Telling them to sit down, be quiet, take your book out, stop talking, right? Stop eating and drinking. Sure. All right, very good. The number one lesson, the number one problem, the number one error that I make whenever I'm preparing a lesson is that I pick either a lesson that is too difficult or is too easy for my students. You know, a lot of times as foreign teachers, we forget how hard English is to understand for local students. I mean, if you don't understand Chinese, you know, if Chinese is really, really difficult for you, it's the same way for them trying to understand English. So a lot of times I used to a lot, pick out lessons that were way too difficult for my students. I vastly overestimated their English level. So even things in the U.S. and the West that are super easy at kid level, we're talking like preschool here, like I'm looking at you, Dora. That kind of stuff is still too difficult for most students here, especially at the level that you teach. I've learned the hard way that choosing correct, appropriate lesson materials is no easy task. I eventually settled onto this ratio, 60-40. 60% stuff they already know, 40% new stuff. You could even go with 70-30 or 80-20. You don't want to go more than 40% that they don't know. If you go more than 40%, then they will get frustrated, they will give up. Okay, so keep this ratio in mind. Now, you have to exercise your skill as a teacher. You have to put your knowledge, your experience to use as you go and select lesson materials. You know your students' needs. Sometimes I'll find myself kidding myself and whenever I'm picking out lesson materials and I'll say, oh, they can handle this. This is really easy. But if I really am honest, then I'll know that no, they can't handle this. And then it takes longer to prepare your lesson because that search for appropriate lesson materials just drags out on and on and on. And it's really difficult. So, whenever you're reading through potential lesson material, you need to think about your students' true English level and take the time that's necessary. So, question for you. How many of you have a set curriculum and how many choose their own lessons? How much guidance do you get from the top on what you teach? Let's get some comments.
Very little. Like one school asked me to teach things that are related to Enrico Park. That's there at the school. But that's about it. Other than that, it's just up to me.
They don't give you a book?
No.
They don't give you a curriculum?
No.
Okay. Other comments? I want to get a feel for, is everyone in this situation, or how much guidance do you get?
I'm in the same situation.
You get nothing.
No books, no curriculum.
Okay. You guys, same situation? Does anyone have a book or a curriculum that they teach from?
I have a book or books that I have to go off of, but they really haven't told me much, so we're still in the process of what do I actually need to do with these books.
Exactly. Now there is this perception on the part of a lot of Taiwanese bosses, oh, your mother tongue is English, so you should just be able to come in here and fill up 50 minutes of time, just play with the kids, just talk to the kids, it's not hard. But that's not true at all. So whenever I got to the school that I teach at now, there was no curriculum, there were no books. I had to create my own curriculum, I had to pick my own books, I had to pick my own lesson plans, and it took a long time. So, how do you choose your lessons if you have no curriculum, no books? What do you do? I'm asking you.
I asked for the textbooks, and then I just kind of followed the curriculum from the textbooks.
So, are there textbooks Chinese English?
Yes.
Okay. Has that been difficult?
Oh, pinyin. They use. I'm sorry. The textbooks that the students are using, they're in English, right? So.
Oh, they're completely in English. There's no Chinese in the textbooks. Okay. All right. So you use the local curriculum's English textbooks.
Yeah, just for general guidelines, like to review what topics and that they're going to be studying, and then I'll come in with my own material, my own like sentence patterns that I want them to learn that's related to those topics.
Okay, very good. What else do you guys do?
Mine are like they're in units, and for one of my schools, me and my co-teacher do the lesson plan for one unit, and which is for object, and then different units for different, because each grade has their own textbook, and then we just utilize the units, each unit, and then I add stuff to it, or make flashcards, subtract some stuff.
So at least you have a unit, units that you're working from.
Mm-hmm.
You have some type of guidelines. That's good. And it sounds like you have a good relationship with your co-teacher as well, so you can work together.
At that school, yes.
Okay, good. All right, what else do you guys do if you've got no curriculum or no book?
I focus a lot on phonics, because it goes along with teaching letters of the alphabet as well, but just teaching them to pronounce each letter correctly, and you can spend a ton of time on that, because we see them once a week, and so like you can really stretch that before they really start to grasp it. So phonics, and then I pair it with like a bit of just vocabulary, so family, and then holidays.
Okay, very good. For me, I found it really, really difficult to fill up 50 minutes of class time day after day, week after week, with no textbook and no curriculum. Eventually, I was creating my own lesson materials, which takes an enormous amount of time. An enormous amount of time to create interesting lesson materials. And so I would recommend that you go to the bookstore and invest in your own book. Unfortunately, that's what I had to do. I had to go and I tried out several different books before I settled on one that I liked. And then I used that. Do you have freedom in class to set your own pace?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so you don't have to worry about keeping up with a certain schedule and leaving slow students behind. So at least you have that. At least you're flexible enough that you can kind of set your own pace. All right, does anyone have a favorite book for teaching ESL? No, okay. Some people responded. Here's what one person said, Dr. Seuss. They use Dr. Seuss, is good. Another person says, messenglish.com has useful materials. And then one person said, most of the fairy tales by the Brothers Grimm are universally acknowledged as great stories. Okay. Someone said, Go-Go loves English.
Oh, I wrote those 3 responses.
Okay, I guess this is a series.
No, totally.
Dino on the Go. Reading House and Picture Books. I don't have a book to use in my class. Okay. So I just want to go back really quickly and ask about Mess English. I've never heard of this. Who has heard of Mess English? Could you tell us about Mess English?
They have like useful worksheets for teaching like vocabulary, and they have pictures also, which is always helpful.
Yeah, and I have like flashcards, yeah.
Yeah, flashcards. So, yeah, basically, if you just want to teach certain vocabulary words and have some pictures, it's readily available for you.
Is it free?
And it's free.
It's free.
Principal.
I was thinking of a break.
Take notes, Mess English. Gogo loves English. Who's heard of this?
Who's Gogo?
I have no idea. I've never heard of this. What is Gogo loves English? Yes. What is Gogo loves English? Tell us.
In Cave Books bookstore. Do you know Cave Bookstore?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I think it is a good material for teaching.
Okay, very good. Thank you. All right, Gogo Loves English, the series you can check out at Cave's Books. Dino on the Go. What is this? Dino. Oh, okay. We have
Dinosaur or giraffe?
Dino on the Go. Is this any good, John?
Yeah, it's not too bad.
And this would be appropriate for what level?
5, 6.
Sixth grade elementary school students? Okay, so Dino on the Go. Okay. Reading House and picture books. What is Reading House?
I can answer that. Reading House is like kind of a series. And it's a story with CDs, and actually they will put a lot of songs in it.
Mm-hmm.
So you can play the CD, and then you can teach the kids the song.
Okay, very good. All right, so if your school does not provide you the textbook, which it looks like that's the case for most of you guys, you may want to invest, unfortunately, you may want to invest in one of these books, one of these series, and use that. If you can find a good series, something that works, something that the kids like, it will save you an enormous amount of time in the future. It takes you so much time picking out good stuff. If you have something that's already ready-made that works, it's money well spent. Money well spent. All right, now, along with using textbooks, what happens when students forget their textbook? Okay, when students forget their textbook in class, let's just say you start using textbooks, that some students will forget, and this creates numerous problems. First of all, that student can't participate. Secondly, when they can't participate, they will start talking to other students, and then the whole class will be disrupted. So what can you do if your students forget their textbooks? Well, there's two things I found. Number one, you can either keep a couple extra copies of the textbook in your classroom, so whenever the student forgets, you could just let them borrow that textbook, or you can do what I do. Let's see. You can do what I do, which is I distribute handouts. I distribute handouts. So you can take a textbook in Taiwan to the copier, and you can have them scan the entire thing.
They'll do it for you, huh?
They'll do it for you. You don't have to scan it yourself.
I like that.
Have it in PDF, and then you just print out what the students need and give it to them the day of. You don't have to worry about them forgetting it at home. That's what I do. It works great. Another thing I like to do I don't know if this will help you if the students are really little, but I'll just share it anyway. You need to give students something to do during class while you're speaking. So I will make up a worksheet of what I'm going to say, and then I'll leave blanks. That way the students can fill in the blanks as you're talking. It keeps them focused. Okay, how do you keep students on task? If your students are small, they can't fill in the blanks, what do you do to keep them on task? Any ideas?
Fill in the blanks for them after if one of the students answers the question, filling in the blanks, you fill in the blanks for them. I've done that.
Okay, so you still do the fill in the blanks, but you might have to go behind them
Yeah.
and help them out. Okay. So we've all had the situation where you're teaching, the students are off in their own world, not paying attention. What do you do to help them stay on task?
Well, usually I will ask them a question to, test whether or not they understand.
That's good. Okay. Ask questions. All right. Anybody else?
Yeah, I guess this is like basic, but like if we're reading something or we're working on something, I usually try to have each student do something like stay active. So I'll have them trace the page as we read and follow along, even if they're not reading. And so I'll walk around and make sure that they are in the right place. So at least they're even if they're not talking, they're still actively doing something. So it kind of creates more engagement for the students. Doesn't always work. Sometimes I just hit them on the head if they're doing something different.
I like that suggestion. That's kind of like fill in the blank, except for little kids. They can put their finger and kind of follow along where you're reading. Yeah, that's very good. All right, next I want to talk about this word edutainment. I think, yeah.
No.
I thought you were raising your hand. No? Okay. All right, edutainment. I think most of the foreign teachers know what this means. Local teachers, do you know what edutainment means? Right. It's the word itself is a combination of the two words, education and entertainment. And the idea is that you package education within something fun, within entertainment. It's kind of like taking something that your child doesn't want to eat, like vegetables, and putting it in something yummy, and hiding it in there, and then tricking them into learning. I want to talk about some of the perils and opportunities of edutainment. One thing that I have suggested to me a lot is that, hey, you should show your kids a movie in class. Kids love to watch movies, and they can pick up English. It's really easy. And I thought about this. I've tried it before. But in my opinion, there are a couple conditions that have to be met for this to be successful. All right, first of all, if you show a movie in class and you have Chinese subtitles, English audio, but Chinese subtitles, that provides virtually no help whatsoever for a student's listening ability. Why? Because they're using their eyes to process language, and their ears are essentially turned off. Okay? So it's just like watching a Chinese movie for them. But if you use no subtitles at all, it's just completely English, a lot of times the students will get overwhelmed, they don't understand, they completely shut down, they get frustrated, and they don't learn. So the other option is what? English subtitles. If you use English subtitles, at least the kids get practice reading comprehension. But, once again, they're using their eyes to process language. Their ears pretty much turn off. It provides pretty much no help for listening ability. So, I have come up with 2 ways that you can show videos, movies in class that actually work to help listening ability. 1, and maybe you can use this in your class for little kids, hopefully. Number 1, you pick a movie that they have already seen many times in Chinese, that they are super familiar with the plot. Super familiar with the plot, they know what the characters are going to say, and I'm thinking Disney movies mainly. And then you show them the movie in English. Because when they're processing, when they're watching it, they are not going to get confused, they're not going to get bored, because they know everything, they understand it, they're just filling in the missing pieces with the language. So that's very helpful. You can do that. Number 2, you can,
Subtitles or no? English subtitles or no?
No English subtitles, but you have to make sure that it's a movie that they're super familiar with.
Right.
Frozen's a good one. Most kids have seen that a couple times. You can pick other Disney movies. I'm trying to think of other movies that you could show. I really don't know. Does anyone else have any suggestions?
Do they like Mulan?
What's that? Kung Fu Panda. Yeah. Okay. Oh, you were Kung Fu Panda. Okay, nice. Okay, Kung Fu Panda is shown on television here all the time. They've probably seen it 10 times. What else? What other movies are shown here over and over and over again?
All of them, or just which? Because there's so many.
What's that?
Toy Story.
Toy Story is shown here all the time. You can use Toy Story. It'd be a great movie. What else?
Oh, Madagascar, maybe?
Madagascar is shown here a lot. That's true.
Oh, that's so funny.
This is a great way to, I don't want to say kill time, but it's a great way to use up a lot of class time. It's really easy to prepare this type of lesson. And you know what? The kids really, really like it, and it really does help their English. You just have to make sure that you pick the right movie.
When you show a movie, do you show it all at once, or do you show like the 15 minutes at this lesson, 15 minutes next lesson? Like, what do you recommend as far as that?
That's a good question. At my school, we have English language movie nights a couple times a semester where the whole movie is shown. But for a classroom setting, I would recommend that you break it up into like 15-minute or scenes. You know, you want to make sure it cuts off at an appropriate part. And then you use it as a reward. You use it at the last, 20 minutes of class. They do well. You show it to them, and they'll love it.
You could even like ask them questions to test their comprehension.
Yeah, yeah. Or teach vocabulary that's going to be shown in the scene beforehand. Okay? The other way that you can make videos work in your classroom is you take a short, interesting movie or video with English subtitles, and you show it to them 2 or 3 times first with the English subtitles. That's if their English reading comprehension is okay. You show it to them again and again until they get familiar with it, and then you shut off the subtitles so that they're completely using their listening to understand. And I'm thinking maybe even you could use Dora or kids shows like that. For my students would think, oh, that's for little kids, that's childish. I don't want to watch that. But for elementary school students, they would probably enjoy that. You could probably use SpongeBob. SpongeBob, the kids love SpongeBob over here. Like every episode, they've probably seen 3 or 4 times. No problem at all. So, like I was saying earlier, at my school we have English language movie night about twice a semester. And this is something that maybe you could do at your school. You could recommend it to your administrators. And I just want to tell you the nitty-gritty, okay, the actual steps you have to go through to make something like this work. Okay, so what you'll need. Number 1 is the movie, obviously. You need to pick a movie that the students will have either seen many times, or either has a simple plot, or has a lot of physical comedy. Okay? If it has a lot of physical comedy, even if they don't understand, they'll think it's funny. Okay, next is you'll need a place to show the movie and a time. So you'll need to coordinate with your boss, with other teachers to select the setting and the place. Make sure that it's okay, get it on the calendar. Next is you'll need a movie poster, okay, like this. Okay, we showed Elf last year at my school. Okay, in the movie poster, you'll want to put the date and the time, and make it nice and big, and put it up out at the school so the students can see it. You'll need a sign-up sheet, and you'll need someone to administer the sign-up sheet. So you want to give that to an administrator. So you'll tell the students to come to this office. If you want to see the movie, come to this office, sign up. Normally these things fill up pretty quickly. There's a limited number of seats.
So it's extracurricular. It's not part of your regular teaching hours that you show in the movie.
At my school, it's extracurricular. You could possibly do it within the curriculum. I'm not sure you have to communicate.
No, we totally could. We have lots of freedom. Yeah, movie day.
Yeah. But make sure you pick the right movie. Make sure you pick the right movie.
Yeah.
Okay, and what I do at the beginning is I prepare a short PowerPoint presentation that introduces, 1, the characters in the movie, and number 2, the plot. A short plot synopsis. That way, they already know pretty much what's going to happen, They won't get frustrated or bored if they temporarily for a couple minutes don't understand what's going on. And then finally, I prepare a questionnaire for the students to fill out at the end of the movie. Now this serves two purposes. The questionnaire is to test their comprehension. And then also, it's proof that you did something other than just show them a movie. You want to have this paperwork, okay, with students' names on it to show your boss, to say, yes, we use this as an English learning activity, here is proof. They're very important. Okay? We've done The Wizard of Oz. Students like that a lot. We did Elf. We did Frozen. We did The Sixth Sense at Halloween. And that's probably more appropriate for older students. Whenever you're doing an English language movie night, I recommend using English subtitles. I know I just said that you should be careful about that because it really doesn't provide much help for their listening. But with an for an English language movie night, it's kind of a special situation. You're going to want to do it because you can only show the movie once. You can't show it over and over and over again if the students don't understand it. So I would use subtitles. Okay, how do you use multimedia in your classroom?
Sorry, I have a question.
Yeah.
What can be put in the questionnaire? I mean, what kind of questions are appropriate?
Okay, very good question. All right, so one thing I put in the questionnaire is I will select certain scenes from the movie, and then I'll scramble them, and they have to put the scenes in order, right? Just to make sure that they were paying attention. So if you watch the movie on your computer, you can just take screenshots, and then just put them on the questionnaire. So that's one thing you can. That's one thing you could do. Another thing you could do is just ask important plot points. You could ask questions about that. Yeah, it doesn't have to be complex. I usually include lots of pictures on the questionnaire. Okay, any more questions? Okay, how do you use multimedia in your classroom? This is a question for the people in the audience. If you use multimedia. Yep.
All right. I haven't done this year, but last year, like we'll listen to a song, a particular song, and this is obviously for some of the older students, but you can even do it for the younger students. And if you want to have like a writing exercise and a listening deal, I'll play a song. And I got this from one of our co-teachers, and basically you just have a song and have them fill in the blanks. So you can teach them the vocabulary, like you say, just so they know what to look for, and they hear the song often. And then you play it for them with a piece of paper. So as they listen to it, they try to fill in what the person is saying in the song.
Okay, very good. And I have a question about what kind of songs you use.
It's best if you do songs that they like. Not something the songs you like.
True.
Yeah. So whatever they're into, like I don't know where this came from. This Frozen song is just like taking over the world, and so you could even do that, for the guys. They want to listen to the song, and then you can just have them fill in like blanks.
True. And if you have internet access in your classroom and you have a computer, I found that you can use Spotify, and you can. Does everyone know what Spotify is?
Download?
Spotify is I can show you how it works.
Do you know what Pandora is? It's a music streaming site where everything's free.
Oh, yeah.
That's a big library, there's no commercial.
Spotify?
Yeah.
All right.
Well, Pandora, I think, is actually blocked in Taiwan. But Spotify is free, and you can select any song. They got virtually any song in the world. It's free to listen to. And you can, if you download it, and then you go to app, right here, and then you install this app called Music's Match. It will allow you to show the lyrics in real time to the song. So, for example, Let me think.
Music's match.
MUSICX MATCH. I'll just demonstrate for you. So as you're playing it, you have the music snatch.
The snow glows white on the mountain tonight, not a footprint to be seen. A kingdom of isolation, and it looks like I'm the queen. The wind is.
All right, before the chorus takes us away. This is very good because it allows the students to see the lyrics in real time. They can mouth out the words as they hear the music. And it's also very easy, very convenient to use. You don't have to look up the lyrics. You can just, it's automatic. Yep.
There's a girl, she's American, she's based out of, I think she works for VOA, Voice of America in Beijing, and she has a YouTube channel called OMG Mayu, and she teaches, they're like short videos, like 2 to 4 minutes, teaching English slang to Chinese speakers. And so she's very entertaining. She's really kind of almost annoyingly bubbly, but she's like very cute. She looks the way that they think foreigners should look. Like she looks like the stereotypical foreigner. And she's like I've been told I used her a lot in China, and I've been told that her Chinese is absolutely excellent, like pretty much perfect. And I used her once in my class here, and the Taiwanese co-teacher said that her Mandarin was actually better than like what most people. Her Chinese is perfect, basically. She does speak more Chinese in the video than I would like, except for that my kids don't really understand anything anyway. But she'll just do like flip flops or some phrase they might not know, and then she'll have like, or she had one video about hugs and cuddle and hold, and she'll just do these really funny little. She'll say the word many, many times. Also, what I like is she'll use different tones to say the word. As an English speaker, it can be a little annoying to listen to because she'll be like, hug, hug, hug. Like, it's really, like, it's obnoxious. But it also shows the kids, because one thing I've noticed is anytime I say something, whatever tone I use when I introduce it, that's forever the tone that's used when that word is said. If I'm like, happy, every time they're happy, like, that's just how you say happy from now on. So I think it's good that she says it in so many different ways. It's very entertaining. The kids, they're like fascinated with her. Like I said, from our standpoint, she's kind of annoying, but the videos are very short. They're good, like when you first start class.
What's the name of your YouTube channel?
Her name is OMG Mayu.
Mayu, is that Chinese characters, or is it?
You can type in OMG. You can type in the pinyin NEIYU. She also, if you're learning Chinese, has, I forget what it is. She has one now where she's teaching Chinese slang to foreigners. So if you're learning Chinese and you're interested in learning to say some stuff that's not so standard, yeah, that's her.
That's her.
Blonde hair, blue eyes?
Yep. So the students think she's very beautiful and also very weird, is what they've told me. But she's very, very animated and speaks very well, and also she puts the words on the screen, so they can read the English, they can read the Chinese. So I find that's like a good warm-up. I can't really use her with the younger kids because she's too, it doesn't really work. And also like, I don't really fit her into my lessons. Like, she doesn't teach anything particularly useful for the lessons. It's more like, you're such a peach. Like, that's not really like something I necessarily need to teach them, or flip-flops, right? But it can be a good like warm-up activity. But most of the videos are really, those longer ones are like interviews with her, but her actual videos are like 2 to 4 minutes.
Let's watch one.
She is obnoxious.
大家好，欢迎来到 OMG 美语，我是白洁。星期一到星期五，我们每天都会播出一个节目，一起来学最新的、最地道的美语。今天我们一起来看看美语里面一些跟水果 fruit 有关的说法。Apple 苹果 bad apple 坏人。He was a bad apple. I'm glad we broke up. 他是一个坏蛋，我很高兴我们分手了。Apple of someone's eye. Oh. 某人的掌上明珠。My brother is the only boy in the family. He's the apple of everyone's eye. 弟弟是家里唯一男孩，被大家视为掌上明珠。Compare apples and oranges. 不能相提并论的。Comparing Lady Gaga and Brad Pitt is like comparing apples and oranges. 将 Lady Gaga 与 Brad Pitt 两人进行比较，就如同比较苹果和橘子，他们是完全不同的人，不能相提并论的。Peach 桃子。Oh, you're such a peach. 哦，你真好啊。Thanks for helping. You're such a peach. 谢谢你帮忙，你太好了。Lemon, 柠檬 lemon 也是不合格的东西意思。The car you just bought is a lemon. 你刚买了不合格的汽车。Sour grape. 吃不到葡萄就说葡萄酸。She said my purse is ugly. I think it's a case of sour grapes. 他说我新买的包包很难看。我认为这是吃不到葡萄就说葡萄酸的意思。好 ，It's your turn， 请用英文写个评论告诉我你最喜欢吃的水果是什么。我的是葡萄。好，继续收看美国这边的 OMG 美语，我们下星期见，拜拜。
Okay, this is what the director of that school wanted his foreigner teacher
Yes.
to be. Very animated,
Yes.
lively, and clownish, perhaps.
Stereotypical.
But it does hold your attention.
True.
Yeah.
All right. Any other multimedia that you use in your classroom? Share and let everybody enjoy. Yeah.
Dennis, if you can get it to work, I had it last year, and for some reason this year, I have a new computer, and I cannot get it to work on this computer. But I'm trying as hard as I can to figure out what's wrong, what I need to change on my computer to work. It's called Stu's Quiz Box. Okay, that's the website. It's Jeopardy. You create all the categories, you create all the questions, you can have pictures, you can have music, you can have everything, and it just creates, it keeps score for you. You can have double jeopardy, you can have, what's the special question?
Daily double?
The daily double, yeah, and you have the final question. Yeah, and it's absolutely, I mean, the kids absolutely went crazy for it. It was so much fun.
Can you use it offline?
Yeah, it's offline.
It's offline.
Yeah, you download the game, and then you create it yourself.
Is it free?
Yeah, absolutely free. Yeah.
That's the screening question, is it
Yeah,
free?
trust me. You will absolutely love it, especially with your level.
What's it called? Stu's
Quiz Box. STU apostrophe S Quiz Box.
Stu's Quiz Box.
Yeah.
Let's just see the website. A free educational game for everybody.
Yeah.
Okay.
If once you learn how to do it, you will absolutely love it, and your kids will love it too.
I don't think it works for Apple computers.
I'm not sure.
It says for Windows. Oh wow. Okay, what other multimedia do we use? Any other ideas? Videos, songs, yeah.
I use ESL Games.
This is a website?
Yeah.
Like this?
Yeah. I think so.
Oh, yeah.
How do you use this website?
Generally with the lower level students, they have like they're showing there they have a memory game. It has basically they have sort of a Jeopardy style game where they can answer questions. That's mostly what we do. I separate them out into teams and they compete.
Okay. Do you need the internet for this?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. And it's free?
Yes.
Okay. All right, other ideas? Share your secrets. Let everyone enjoy the wealth of knowledge. Yeah.
You had a question?
I'm just thinking
Oh, okay.
If you go to ESL Games Revision, you can get the higher level questions as opposed to just lower level. They'll have much higher level things for grade, like grade 5 and 6 revision.
ESL Games Revision?
Yeah.
This is the website?
Yeah, well, you just Google ESL Games Revision. Yeah.
This one?
Yeah. There. I mean, you've got lower beginner revision, lower elementary, higher elementary, pre-intermediate, yeah. And I've never even gone up to higher beginner revision is as high as I can go most of the time. I've never even gone to level 4, I don't think. That gets really difficult for even elementary kids.
You need the internet to play this?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Anybody else have any ideas? Yeah.
I go on teachers.com, it's an aggregator, and I just put in whatever topic I'm doing for that week. You can use it on those website. And I feel like the content's more contemporary.
So you use that like to get pictures or like games?
Worksheets, games, because a lot of teachers actually hope like they add whatever they call it to the site. So
Pin
you
it.
aggregate everything. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you get top results on top.
Oh, true. Yeah, it has a really good search function. Yeah. So Pinterest, you can use Pinterest. I think everyone knows that website. My wife uses it all the time.
Use it all day, right?
Yeah. Any other? Yeah.
I use Wrong Change.
How do you spell that?
RONG-CHANG.
RONTS?
No, just RONG-CHANG.
Yeah.
CHANG.
Oh, my bad.
No, there's a lot of stuff on there, but I use the reading section, the stories. And the stories, it has a voice that goes with it, and you can play the voice or you can read it yourself.
So these are the stories here, or you have to like click in the,
Yeah, free stories.
like this one?
Yeah. Right.
So you get to listen.
Yeah, like that's a super long one, but they have ones that are only like 60 words.
Okay.
And then on the bottom they have all those comprehension, vocabulary.
Okay. That's a gold mine.
That can save you a lot of time. And you need the internet to do this, right?
Huh?
You need the internet to do this?
Yeah, but the way I do it is when I do this, I print the story and I make the story really big and then I cut it out and I put it around the room and then I just read the story and they have to put it back together.
Oh, okay. And then you like print out the quizzes from it and have them take the quizzes?
we do the quiz together.
Okay.
On the board, but yeah, that could be done. Or they actually have one of those is a sentence you have to put it back into order. So, and if you get the sentence wrong, it tells you which part of the sentence is wrong.
Cool. Cool. I like this. I think I can use this as well.
You should use
Breaking news English is pretty good too.
Breaking news English.
It has different levels of news articles and activities that correspond. And it's all current events, so it's pretty cool.
So is it what level would this be appropriate for?
Well, probably level 0 for most of us, but even that you have to pre-teach some of the vocabulary. Or teach some of it on the side.
We've got a 2-page mini lesson. Okay. Other ideas? Other secret weapons on the internet that you can share?
There's a website called VoiceTube.
VoiceTube?
Yeah.
This one?
Yeah. It's wonderful because you can find movies in beginning level, intermediate, and advanced level. And some of them come out with English and Chinese subtitles. And you can also repeat some parts, and you can a lot of functions.
Okay. Cool. All right.
Boggles World.
Boggles World?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Other interesting sites? Anything else that anyone wants to share? Okay. Any sites that need to be, yeah.
This is I don't know if this is what you want, this is not a website, but one way that I use multimedia is we play this game called Musical Statues. I don't know if you've played this, where like basically you play a song for however long you want to play it, and then you freeze it, or you pause it, and then as soon as the last kid to stop moving, they have to dance, they have to dance the whole time the music's playing. The last kid to stop moving, you show them one of the flashcards, and they have to, or you ask them some sort of question. If they, either way they have to sit down because they, or wait, you can play it different ways. Sometimes they give them a prize, but they have to sit down because they still lost because they were still moving. And sometimes they don't have to sit down. But it's basically you play till there's one kid standing. This can be hard though because sometimes you can't, if you have a big class, you can't always see who is the kid to move.
Who sits down? The kids, the last one that's dancing?
The last one that's moving.
Oh, the last one's moving, has to sit down?
The last one that's moving has to sit down. Because they're supposed to freeze as soon as the music stops. And then also if there are kids that don't dance, because sometimes you'll get kids that don't want to
Too
dance,
cool.
then that kid is who you call on. Because they...
You're not participating.
So if they're not participating, then when you stop the music, you just call on that kid because they weren't. And then that kid gets to sit down. They still have to answer a comprehension question, but they also get to sit down and not have to play the game.
Right on.
Cool.
They love that. My little kids just like adore that game. They get kind of crazy, but.
What do you call it?
What do you mean? Musical statues? Is that what?
Yeah.
Musical statues. Okay. Good. All right. Any other multimedia that we can use in our classrooms? Okay. All right. Well, very good. All right, so let's talk about curriculum again for just a second. the sense that I get from you guys is that there really is no curriculum, right? And that is definitely not ideal, not at all. So what do you do in a situation where there's no curriculum? Well, every school is different. Every program is different. Every class is different. So different programs have different needs. And if you have no curriculum to work from, then I would recommend creating your own curriculum. Okay? First of all, you need to set some goals for your students, your class. And then you need to figure out how you're going to accomplish these goals. So I would recommend, if you haven't already, I think a lot of us come into this situation, we have no idea what the school is going to be like, and it takes us a while to figure out, hey, there's not a whole lot of support here in terms of a curriculum. But now we know, so now it's time for us to take it upon ourselves to plan a curriculum. And once you do this, it doesn't have to be a complex curriculum. It doesn't have to meet, pedagogical goal. It doesn't have to be completely pedagogically sound. You do the best you can. You do the best you can with what you got. And if you will do this, you will find that your teaching will be better. You will find that your lesson prep will go faster because you've got a direction to walk towards. So, for local teachers, I would recommend in the future, whenever you get more foreign teachers in, that you could seriously consider creating a curriculum for the foreign teachers. And this is a kind of a problem. This is kind of a big problem whenever they don't know what they're supposed to be teaching. So this is something that you may want to consider doing in the future. Make an appropriate curriculum. I would recommend consulting with the teachers in this room and picking out some textbooks that you can use, appropriate textbooks that you can use that would be, the students would find interesting, the teachers would find interesting as well. Set this up, have it in place for next year. If you do this, the teachers will be happier, the students will learn a lot more. If all else fails, if you've got no curriculum, you've got no goals, realize that in the end, simply trying to help your students overcome this fear of speaking English is a completely worthy goal. If you can help them overcome this fear, then you've done a good job, regardless of pedagogical goals or curriculum or anything like that. Okay, last activity before lunch. I want us to do a little bit of curriculum planning. Okay? In our groups, we have two situations. Situation A and situation B. So we'll have this side do situation A, this side do situation B. Let's see. Do any of you teach junior high school? Or is everyone elementary? Everyone is elementary. You teach English Village, which is junior high, right?
Yeah.
And you teach junior high? English Village.
Half the time it's elementary students, the other half is junior high students.
But yeah, but no real curriculum. We just kind of follow.
Okay. This group, your assignment is a little bit different. Your assignment is to prepare a curriculum for English Village. Okay? All right, everyone else, you can follow situation B, because that's more suitable for your own situation. Okay, so basically, you are teaching a class size of 10 students. The grade is elementary 4, 4th grade. You need to come up with 2 or 3 concrete learning objectives for the semester. And you need to come up with 2 or 3 specific activities you can do to accomplish this learning objective. So just some basic elementary curriculum plan. Yeah?
You say it's 2 hours a week. Is that 2 hours together or 2 separate class meetings?
I was thinking 2 separate class meetings, but what is your situation?
The 4th grade I see for only 40 minutes a week.
Okay, once a week. Okay, is that pretty much typical of everyone? You see one class 1 time a week?
Yep. 5th and 6th grade are 80 minutes.
Double block.
Okay, so some classes it's 80 minutes, some classes it's 40 minutes, but it's all together. Okay. Well, let's just say 1 class per week for 4th grade. Okay, you see these students 1 time a week. And what can you do? What kind of curriculum can you come up with?
For 40 minutes or 80 minutes?
You said your fourth graders are 40 minutes? Let's do 40 minutes. Okay, so 2 concrete learning objectives and then a couple activities you can use to accomplish these objectives. You're going to take maybe 5 minutes and then we will report.
In this village, it's basically just to create a scenario, create an environment where it seems like the students are going to go traveling.
Animals, right?
So we asked them questions about what country do you want to go to? And what do you want to do there? What do you want to buy there? And just go like that. And so we have like emotions. One is happy, sad, desk, where you give them a sticker. Another is like baggage stickers. Another is like you're actually on the thing. Another is hotel room, all that kind of stuff, right?
It's a picture pig. Yeah, let's Tony teacher now.
So the goal of it is just to get them to practice English, which is pertinent. Just traveling. Like, leaving this country, going under
Adding some that they know, like the brush, but
that's really the goal.
So that process of integrating
most students we already do that just by following just ask them like, okay, so what do you want to do? Why do you want to go to Japan? You want to see the sequoia blossoms? You want to do some social work? You want to see the world? Who are you going to go with? How long are you going to spend there? So that's part of the okay, so like,
I'm still in That's the one that last year David took. He said, this is
questions about travel.
Because they don't have.
I think also the goal is to have sparking.
I would do that.
What would you prefer?
I just don't think so.
Oh, you don't think that they? Well, some of them are able to answer questions. Right. No, not the way we do it.
In my class, I would show
I think that is one goal. Like, they're supposed to come here and see, like, a lot of them have this idea that when they come to English Village, they want to see a foreigner, you know. Oh, and they also, one teacher told me that the reason I should is because I want them to touch it.
True story.
But like what you would say, come to contact. So like, yeah, so that maybe they'll be so charmed. Go to a foreign country.
Yeah, I can't let it.
Yeah.
So that's why I call it little monkeys.
Okay, so to spark an interest.
It's our first thing.
So we got the activity.
Even though they can speak
Spark and okay.
they would know if we're not gonna actually travel.
First grade is about, you know,
Above objectives or environment.
Yeah.
They're not pressing
Yeah, that's the majority of them.
Very small class.
Well, you weren't there, I weren't there, but we had one school where for one class, everybody was somewhat like well-to-do families. They all went to Ichiban Testing Street, and they were all from ability was better than some high schools. And yeah, they sang a song for it. They sang
No, really?
No, it was really good. I filmed it. It was Top of the World, looking down on creation. It was really good. They were in time.
Killed it.
Everybody sang it. Nobody
Killed
was
it.
shy. Yeah. Yeah. So
They were young learners?
they were fifth grade. So they will a lot of those kids do that. But that's the exception. So we have two things. Answer questions about travel. Answer questions that we pose to them. And then to spark an interest.
Sounds very.
Spark an interest to like learn about foreign things. This is the mobile goals for yeah, this one. I apply for grade 5 or 6.
They can watch TV.
You use English, I know that's a real thing. Use English aside from even learning it.
But most of the time you need a card, but you have another link. There's a certain link. You click it, you can go to the database without having an account.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's like trial version. I will tell Mr. Choi.
What you were going to say?
Yeah.
Do I have to pay?
Most of the time it's story after.
So use it as opposed to like practice it. As opposed to learn. Just that's usually right. When you come here to the library, you have to and then now it's going to display, to show what they learned. Most after we have to teach
Let me
you.
interrupt you for a second. What comes to mind with girl curriculum in the SIU?
You can get a link.
I'm actually going to use the word display to make it clear what we're going for here. Display what you've learned. That's one of the curriculum goals, I would say, of the English and display
So they
what.
know, so the other teachers, the actual teachers know what they need to work on. Maybe they need to work on certain areas.
I mean, Ainsley always harks on that, so he's been doing this for a while.
How's it going? You guys getting there? Okay, good job. How's it going? You guys about ready?
Yeah.
Pretty much ready?
I introduced this like website of Tumblr.
Majority of the time, is it free?
There's a certain way to make it free, and it's easy. Just search in the Tumblr book and Library of Virginia. At the same time, you can get a link, so you don't need an account. It's like this part is for like trial versions, so you can go inside it.
Okay. And it's like you have access to different books?
Yeah, and it includes scans and puzzles based on the story.
Yeah, actually, as a side note, yes, the responsibility of the regular teacher.
Oh, Tumble book. Okay, cool, thanks. How are you guys doing? Pretty much ready? All right, I think we're done. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to draw lots to see who goes first.
Students.
Okay. So every group needs to have a spokesperson who is going to explain the objectives and the activities for your situation. All right. Number one is Dion from Flint, Michigan.
Oh yeah.
Oh, no worries.
All right, Dion, could you explain the situation, or whoever is your spokesperson?
All right, so for curriculum planning, what was our initial setup? I know ours was like English Village, but creating curriculum for English Village.
Yeah.
Basically, and I don't know if we did it exactly, but you know, with English Village, if any of you teachers, English Village, the whole idea is for the students to come there and to use the English that they already know. So kind of, it's not so much of a learning. It's more so like practical use, right? So basically, our curriculum or our goal for English Village would be to answer questions about travel, because the particular English Village that we have here, it's like what do you want to say? Focus on travel and seeing the world, like different parts of the world we have. Airports and living. So basically, answering questions about travel, we want to spark an interest in learning to speak English, So I think that's what we do every day in the classroom, but with English Village, there's different parts of the world, and we have different scenarios where they would use English, so we try to create like a real environment for them. And then learn about foreign things, and as a side note, we mentioned just for other foreign teachers, or local teachers, I'm sorry, I know this isn't a place to discuss like the problems, but often we have students that come there and the parents or their co-teachers, the local teachers don't do a great job of, I guess, priming the students and really letting them know what English Village is about. So in addition to kind of hitting those goals for the camp, having the kids there, having them speak and use English, just a little side note would be to have the local teachers also share and kind of let the kids know what to expect, so it kind of goes smoothly. But that's it.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, no worries.
Very good job. Just a quick question. I'm curious, as foreign teachers here, are you ever invited to meetings? Are you ever invited to meetings with your bosses? No.
We're invited, but we're not required to go, and because it's all in Mandarin, I opt not to.
Okay. Do you have someone that is supposed to be kind of like your interface with management, with your principal? Someone you're supposed to communicate with? Yeah? Okay, and do they do a good job?
No.
Okay, so this is obviously a problem. Something should be done about this. Better lines of communication need to be established between the foreigners and the local teachers. I would recommend, this is straight to the local teachers, I would recommend setting up some type of weekly meeting, or if you think weekly is too often, monthly meeting, that is in English, where the person who interfaces with you, or interfaces in your behalf, attends the meeting, as well as your boss and a couple co-workers. And it would be a forum where you can communicate with the administrators, and they can communicate back with you. I think that would solve a lot of questions, and unfortunately that doesn't really exist right now. But it's my hope that eventually that can be established. Okay, next. Momo from Tuku. Who's Momo from Tuku? Okay, same group. Next is Heidi from Nehu Elementary School. Who's Heidi? Okay. Who's going to be the spokesperson from this group? Who's talking? Who wants to talk?
We decided that we were going to come up with 10 verbs, action verbs, swimming, dancing, biking, like that. And use of those verbs, they'd be able to use it. They know the meaning of those verbs. and also family members, uncle, aunt, grandfather, things like that, brother, sister, younger brother, older brother. Just that they know they'll be able to speak and be able to use these words. And the activities we would do with them would show videos if we can, or songs that, he is my brother, she's my sister, things like that, anything that would reinforce the language using video. Also a family tree, we can have them draw a picture of a family tree, and have mother and father, and then, or maybe even above that, the grandparents, and then have them fill out parts of the family tree. And also we can have them do even a role play, have someone pretend they're the mother, someone be the father, things like that.
Who am I?
Oh, yeah,
If I am uncle's daughter, what do you call me?
Yeah, who am I? Am I your uncle's daughter? What do you call it? Something like that. Questionnaires, things of that nature.
Okay, very good. Next we have Abdallah. I'm sorry, I apologize. Abdel, right? Abdel? From Minneapolis. Sorry. Hi.
I don't know.
Who's the spokesperson?
I am Alice.
Alice, okay.
So first learning objective is to learn new animal names, and you'll be built on what they previously learned. So it'll be a mix of known and unknown. And then our second one will be to learn a sentence structure around the animal vocabularies, like this is a, I like, da 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 da. We have two activities. The first one is a video presentation of the animals with a short animation and then the animal sounds. And the second activity is a song practice, such as Old MacDonald's Had a Farm.
Okay, very good. Tony from Jai. Same group? All right. Carrie lives in Wuwei, teaches in Shanfeng and Xinguang. Who is this? All right, you've already done it. Well, who hasn't done it yet? This group? Let's have this group go. Who's talking?
Alright.
Do you want a microphone?
Not really.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so our goals were for the students to be able to say 3 sentences. Hi, my name is, nice to meet you, what's your name? So make a cartoon on goanimate.com would be the first activity. A speed dating activity for the second, which is like, do I need to explain that or do you understand?
I know what speed dating is for adults, but not for children.
Well, you said the grand prize is a night in a love motel.
Wow.
No. You just make 2 rows of students. You could have them sitting in chairs, or you could, if you don't have like free chairs from the desks, you can just have them standing. And then one row will move, like, you give them like 1 or 2 minutes, so they have a dialogue, whatever their prepared dialogue is, and then you say time, they have a set amount of time, and then one line moves, so every 1 or 2 minutes they're talking to a new partner. They're just reading a dialogue. This is like the concept of speed dating, kind of like their speed dating, but obviously not dating.
I'm glad you cleared that up.
Speed friendship.
Your phone number?
With my university students, I called it speed dating because they thought it was funny.
Right on.
Here, I don't know that I would call. Maybe I would come up with a different name for it. I'm gonna make a video introduction, and you can put the videos on YouTube or Vimeo or whatever. Maybe the kids will think it's funny to see themselves.
Very good, very good. All right, I just want to thank everyone for your participation, for showing up today. I know that it's double weekend, and a lot of you guys don't want to be here. I mean, at least I get paid to come. That's why I'm here. So, sorry, but I do appreciate it. And thanks for participating, and I hope this afternoon you will continue to participate. just makes it a lot better. That's all I got for lunch. Thanks.
Thank you.